Hey everyone, and welcome back. We're doing a deep dive today on Corpay Inc. CPAY, if you're looking them up on the New York Stock Exchange.
Yeah, Corpay, it's pretty interesting, actually. They've undergone a real transformation.
Oh,
Yeah, they used to be known as FleetCor Technologies, and they were very focused on fuel cards.
okay.
But they've rebranded, and now they've expanded into a global payments company.
So it's like they treated their gas station for a whole financial district.
Exactly.
To help us figure all this out today, we've got a lot of information.
Mm.
We've pulled some things from Corpay's website.
Hmm.
We've got some recent analysis from a stock commentary site.
Interesting.
And we've even got some transcripts from their Q3 2024 earnings call.
Wow.
We've also got key financial figures and some ratios, and also some analyst price targets.
So we're really trying to piece together a puzzle here to see if Corpay is a hidden gem or if it's maybe a trap.
Right, exactly. Let's start with the basics, though.
Okay.
Corpay is headquartered in Atlanta, Georgia, but they're not just a southern company. They operate in the U.S., Brazil, the U.K., and internationally,
Worldwide.
and they offer a variety of payment solutions.
Yeah, you're not kidding. They've got vehicle payments like fuel tolls, maintenance, all of that. And then they handle corporate payments,
Okay.
lodging payments for business travelers, and even gift and payroll cards.
Wow. So they're covering a lot of ground, both businesses and consumers.
Yeah, B2B and B2C.
But I noticed in this analysis that we have, they talk about Corpay as having a wide economic moat.
Yeah.
Now, I know that sounds a little Game of Thronesy,
Uh-huh.
but can you break that down for us and tell us what that means in the financial world?
Well, you can think about it like this. Corpay has built this fortress around its business.
Okay.
Their customers are happily inside, and it's extremely difficult for competitors to break in and steal them away.
Okay.
So two things make this mode impressive. The first is that their customer retention is extremely high, like over 92% in their corporate payments segment.
92%.
Yeah, well,
That's huge.
Yeah, it means they don't have to spend a fortune constantly chasing after new customers.
Right.
They can focus on keeping those loyal clients happy, which makes their future profits more predictable.
And that's great for investors because they like that steady, reliable income.
Exactly. The second factor is Corpay's knack for smart acquisitions. So they recently acquired a company called Paymerang.
Okay.
Paymerang is a major player in accounts payable automation. So it's like Corpay added another tower to their fortress.
Okay. So they're keeping their customers and they're adding to their reach.
Right.
Now let's talk recent performance. Q3 2024 seemed like a really big win for them.
Yeah, it was a blowout quarter. They completely crushed it. Their revenue topped $1 billion for the first time ever, coming in at $1.29 billion.
$1 billion. It's not just spare change.
And it gets better. Their adjusted cash earnings per share, which is EPS, that's like the profit allocated to each share of stock, hit $5.
Okay.
Plus their EBITDA margin, that's how much profit they're making from their core operations, that jumped to 54.2%.
Wow. So like for every $100 they're bringing in, over $54 is pure profit.
Yeah, that's a very efficient business.
And you see those numbers and you can't help but get excited, but was this just a lucky streak for them?
It doesn't seem like a fluke at all. Their growth is coming from a combination of organic growth,
Okay.
meaning they're doing well within their existing business, and also from those strategic acquisitions that we were just talking about.
So they're working on all cylinders, it seems.
Yeah.
And their guidance for Q4 2024 and even for 2025 is really optimistic as well.
They're projecting something like 13% revenue growth in Q4,
Wow.
and then between 9 and 11% growth in 2025.
Okay.
They expect EPS to continue to grow, and they even think sales growth is going to exceed 20%.
Oh, well, exceeding 20% sales growth now. That's some serious momentum.
It is, however, there is a slight caveat. Not all of their segments are performing at the same level.
You're talking about the North American fleet and lodging segment?
Exactly. They haven't been as robust. But Corpay is projecting a turnaround in those areas in 2025, so they do seem to have a plan.
So they're addressing their weaknesses, it seems.
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds like they've got a strong track record, a positive outlook, and they're even being strategic about those areas where they're a little bit weaker. That's got to be appealing to investors.
It does. On the surface, it seems like a really solid investment opportunity. However, the current share price is sitting at $372.91.
Okay.
Which is actually above the estimated fair value of $326.96.
So it's a little bit pricey right now.
It is, but we need to consider the long-term potential here.
Right, because they've got strong financials, a positive growth outlook, and they're expanding their product offerings. It seems like a good case for holding onto this stock.
It's a classic case of growth at a reasonable price, or what investors call gray RP, but let's see what the experts are saying about this.
Okay, so what are the analysts saying?
Well, overall, it seems like they're pretty positive, though. There's a range of opinions. BMO Capital recently raised their price target to $400,
Okay.
and Jefferies bumped theirs to $375.
So they're pretty bullish on this stock, it seems.
They are. On the other hand, Mizuho Securities is being a little bit more cautious. They're maintaining a neutral rating with a target of $265.
Okay.
But if you look at the average price target from analysts over the last 6 months, that comes in around $334.
Okay, so there's a spread, but most analysts seem to think that Corpay is heading in the right direction.
Yeah, I think so.
But of course, every investment comes with risk. So what are some of the potential issues here?
Well, fuel prices and foreign exchange rates can be unpredictable.
Right.
And those factors actually led Corpay to reduce their revenue guidance for 2024 slightly.
Yeah, that makes sense, given that they started out in the fuel card business. They're not immune to those things.
Another thing that could cause a little hiccup is the timing of their gifting business.
Okay.
They've got pretty ambitious projections for Q4, so if that revenue doesn't come in as expected, that could have an impact on their overall performance.
So investors need to keep an eye on those external factors, but also on how Corpay manages its own growth.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground. Their diverse operations,
Yeah.
their impressive financials,
Yeah.
their growth strategy, and even the potential risks.
Right.
I'm definitely starting to get a clearer picture of Corpay's. What do you think are the biggest takeaways from all of this?
Well, for me, the most important thing is that strategic shift that Corpay has made.
Okay.
You know, they've moved beyond fuel cards to become this diverse payments company with a really impressive growth trajectory.
Yeah, it really shows their ability to adapt.
Yeah, and another thing I think is important is their focus on corporate payments. That segment is driving a lot of their growth, and it's also where their competitive advantage, remember that economic moat is most pronounced.
Right, those sky-high retention rates.
Exactly, they're locking in those corporate clients.
Yeah.
And finally, I think it's important to consider the potential impact of those lower interest rates and higher taxes that are expected in 2025. That's something you as a potential investor should think about.
All right, great points. We've covered a lot of ground, but we're not done yet. We still need to talk about what this all means for you as a potential investor. What questions should you be asking yourself before making any decisions? Well, you'll have to stay tuned to find that out.
Okay, so we've got all these numbers, right? We've talked about their financials,
Right.
their growth, and all their strategic moves.
Right.
But we know that smart investors, they don't just look at the numbers. They want to understand the story behind the numbers.
Exactly. And one thing that really stands out to me is how aggressive Corpay has been with mergers and acquisitions.
Yeah,
They've already made some big moves like buying Paymerang, and it sounds like they're not done yet.
that's right. And they've also authorized this $1.5 billion share repurchase program.
Okay.
So that shows that they're pretty confident about their future.
So they think their stock is undervalued.
Right. But this whole M&A strategy, it's like a double-edged sword, you know?
Oh.
It can really supercharge growth, but it also comes with some risks.
So how should investors look at this? Is it a good sign, or could it be hiding some problems?
Well, that's the big question, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, on the one hand, strategic acquisitions can be a really smart way to grow quickly, enter new markets, and get valuable technology or talent.
Like a shortcut.
Yeah, exactly. And it shows that the company is in a strong position and that they're ready to take advantage of opportunities.
So it's not necessarily a bad thing.
No, not at all. But it's really important to look at the specifics of each deal.
Right.
You know, are they paying too much for these companies?
Right.
Are they integrating them well? And are they taking on too much debt to pay for it all?
Okay, so it's not just about the fact that they're buying companies. It's about how they're doing it.
Right. And that takes a little bit of detective work.
Okay.
You need to look at the financials of those companies they're buying. Are they healthy? Are they making money?
Mm-hmm.
And then you need to look at Corpay's history with acquisitions. Did they do a good job bringing those companies in, or were there problems?
So we really need to do our research.
Absolutely. Investing is like being a detective, you know?
Right.
You need all the clues before you can solve the case.
Okay, so M&A activity can be a good thing, but we need to look at it carefully. What else should investors be thinking about when they're evaluating Corpay?
Well, another really important area is the competitive landscape.
Okay.
Corpay's in a good spot in a lot of markets, but they're not alone out there.
Right. The payments industry is super competitive.
Yeah, you've got those established players like FIS and Global Payments. And then you've got all these new fintech companies trying to shake things up.
Right. And let's not forget about the tech giants like Apple and Google.
Oh, yeah, they're getting in on the action, too.
It's a real battle out there.
It is. It's a very
Uh,
dynamic landscape.
yeah,
So
right.
how does Corpay stack up against all these rivals?
Yeah. Well, they've definitely got some strengths. They're a big company.
Right.
They've got a wide range of products and services, and they have a lot of expertise in specific areas like fleet management and corporate payments.
Right, they've got those moats. Exactly, but they can't just sit back and relax.
Oh.
They need to keep innovating because things are changing so fast in the payments world.
Companies that don't innovate get left behind.
Exactly. So investors need to think about whether Corpay is investing enough in research and development.
Okay.
Are they coming up with new products and services that customers want?
Mm-hmm.
Are they forming partnerships with other companies to expand their reach?
So we need to keep an eye on their innovation
Yeah.
and how they're positioning themselves in this bigger ecosystem.
Right.
Anything else?
One more thing.
Okay.
It's really important to think about the regulatory environment.
Yes.
The payments industry is heavily regulated, and any changes to those regulations can have a big impact on Corpay.
Of course, we've seen so many changes in recent years, especially around things like data privacy.
Yeah, that's right. And those trends are likely to continue. So investors need to stay informed about any potential changes to regulations, things like open banking or anti-money laundering and cybersecurity.
Mm.
And then they need to think about how those changes might affect Corpay.
So we need to factor in the regulatory landscape.
Yeah.
It seems like every time we peel back a layer, we find more complexity.
That's a great way to put it.
It's like an onion.
Investing is rarely simple.
Right.
You need to look at things from different angles.
Yeah.
Really dig into the details and think critically about both the opportunities and the risks.
And that's why we do these deep dives.
Exactly.
To help you cut through all the noise and get to the heart of what matters.
Right.
But we're not done yet.
Yep.
We still need to talk about what all this means for you as a potential investor.
Okay.
What questions should you be asking yourself before making any decisions?
Right.
Well, stay with us to find that out.
Mm.
Okay, so we've really gone through it all.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen Corpay's strong performance. We've talked about their economic moats. And we've even dug into those potential risks.
Great.
But now it's time for the big question.
Okay.
The one you've probably been asking yourself this whole time. Should you invest in Corpay?
Oh, that's a tough one.
It is, isn't it?
It's a question only you can answer, really.
Right.
Because it all comes down to your personal financial goals, your risk tolerance, and your investment horizon.
Okay, so how do we even begin to figure all that out?
Well, let's break it down into some easy steps.
Okay.
First, you got to ask yourself, does Corpay's business model fit your investment philosophy?
Okay.
Are you comfortable with a company that's doing a lot of mergers and acquisitions?
Mm-hmm.
Do you believe that they can keep growing in the long run?
So it's not just about the numbers. It's about whether you believe in the company.
Exactly. Then you got to think about how much risk you're willing to take.
Okay.
Corpay is a growth stock, which means it has the potential for big returns, but it also comes with more risk than like a slower growing company.
Right.
So are you okay with some ups and downs along the way?
Some people like a wild ride, and some people want to keep it smooth.
Exactly. And then your investment horizon matters too.
Okay.
Are you trying to make a quick buck, or are you planning to hold on to the stock for a while?
Patience is key in investing.
It often is. And last but not least, never underestimate the power of your own research.
Right.
We've given you a good overview, but don't stop there. Dig into those financial statements, read about their competitors, and stay updated on what's happening in the industry.
Knowledge is power, right?
It is. And in investing, it can also mean profits.
So let's do a quick recap.
Okay.
We've talked about Corpay's strengths,
Yeah?
their diverse offerings,
Yeah.
their position in that corporate payments world.
Right.
We've also talked about the risks, those acquisitions,
Mm-hmm.
the competition,
Mm-hmm.
and we've really emphasized the importance of understanding your own investing style,
Mm-hmm.
your risk tolerance, and doing your own research.
Absolutely.
Now, before we go, I want to leave everyone with one last question to think about.
Okay.
We know that Corpay is all in on corporate payments.
Yeah.
So what other companies might they buy or partner with to really become the leader in that market?
Good question.
Like a chess game. What's their next move?
I think you should keep an eye on companies in areas like expense management, B2B payments, and cross-border transactions.
Well.
Those could be some good targets.
Awesome insights. Well, that's all the time we have for today's deep dive into Corpay Inc.
Thanks for joining us.
We hope this was helpful as you make your own investment decisions.
And remember, investing is a personal choice.
Yeah,
You got to be comfortable with the risks and confident in the company.
absolutely. And if you enjoyed today's deep dive, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and the bell icon so you don't miss out on future episodes where we break down these complex topics.
And help you make smarter decisions.
Thanks for listening.